Number 9. Curtis Maurice Clayton. On October the 29th of 2021, a Delta Airlines flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles was delayed by 30 minutes from its scheduled departure time after a brawl erupted right before takeoff. 30-year-old Curtis Maurice Clayton had seen the passenger seated behind him, identified as German Montez, aged 43, placing something in the pocket of his seatback. Clayton protested, but when his fellow passenger refused to comply, he punched him in the face, escalating the conflict. Montez retaliated and the two began fighting each other in the aisle, with the altercation captured on cell phone video. In the footage, one frustrated passenger was heard remarking, "It's literally 6 a.m. Who's fighting at 6 a.m.? The row persisted until another passenger managed to separate the men, restraining Clayton. He was left with a bloodied eye and was immobilized until officers arrived at the scene and escorted him out of the aircraft. During his arrest, Clayton was reportedly uncooperative and caused damage to a police car. He was taken into custody and charged with battery and interference with government property. Number 8. CHIANTI, Washington. On June the 25th of 2018, the pilot of a Spirit Airlines flight from Houston to Minneapolis had to perform an emergency landing in Rochester, Minnesota, for a passenger who required medical attention. As the other passengers were waiting for the situation to be resolved, a woman sat up from her seat and started walking around the plane, demanding to get off and yelling threats involving her Marine brothers. Two male passengers then attempted to block the woman, identified as 38-year-old CHIANTI, Washington, from erratically running down the aisle. Police were called for assistance, and at some point the woman broke down in tears as a male passenger tried to console and calm her down. She was escorted off the airplane by officers, who later learned the woman was a veteran and suffered from PTSD. Washington told them she hadn't flown in a long time, and after being removed from the plane, she was allowed to go free. Passengers were left visibly shaken by the incident, with flight attendants handing tissues to a number of people in the aftermath. The plane took off roughly an hour following Washington's breakdown. Number 7. Brian Hsu. 20-year-old Brian Hsu was traveling from New York to Santa Ana, California on October the 27th of 2021 in first class on an American Airlines flight. At some point during the journey, Hsu sat up to go to the bathroom. When he reached the galley, a cabin crew member informed him the seatbelt light was on and that he would have to return to his seat and wait. Hsu reportedly brought his elbow down on the woman's head and repeatedly struck her in the face. To deal with the violent passenger, the pilots were forced to divert the flight to Denver, Colorado. A drink cart was placed in the aisle to barricade him, and other passengers taped him to a seat to immobilize him. Hsu was arrested upon landing and charged with assault within the special aircraft jurisdiction of the United States and interference with a flight crew, facing up to 20 years of imprisonment. During his ensuing police interviews, Hsu claimed the flight attendant had charged him and that he was scared about a potential impact to his head, as he'd had brain surgery a month prior. The flight attendant suffered a concussion in the incident. According to updates on the matter, a verdict had yet to have been announced, but Brian Hsu was banned from flying with American Airlines again. Number 6. Alejandro CARLSON. On December the 12th of 2020, an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 airplane was set to depart from Las Vegas's McCarran International Airport to Portland, Oregon. The pilot was preparing for takeoff when he noticed a man approaching the aircraft and notified the tower. Law enforcement was dispatched as the individual had managed to climb onto one of the wings and walk around on it before he sat down and appeared to be talking to himself. As soon as police officers approached the area, the man walked to the vertical winglet of the plane and tried to climb it, but lost his grip and fell on the tarmac. Law enforcement retrieved and arrested the man, who was taken to a medical facility for evaluation. He was identified as 41-year-old Alejandro CARLSON and charged with trespassing and disregard for public safety. Subsequent reports suggested there was a possibility of him suffering from mental illness or being impaired. The flight takeoff was delayed by 4 hours and 18 minutes as the aircraft was sent back to its gate for a full inspection, and with CARLSON's interruption alone having lasted for approximately 45 minutes. Number 5. PALASH AHMED, alias MAHADI. On February the 24th of 2019, the pilots of a Biman Bangladesh Airlines airplane going from Dhaka, Bangladesh to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, were forced to make an emergency landing at Chattogram Shah Amanat International Airport. Bangladeshi Special Forces commandos stormed the aircraft upon landing and fatally shot a 25-year-old man identified as PALASH AHMED, also known as Mahadi. While his motives remained undetermined, he'd attempted to hijack the flight shortly after takeoff. As the airplane was flying at an altitude of 15,000 feet, he claimed to have a bomb strapped to his chest and used a toy gun to threaten passengers and cabin crew, demanding for the cockpit to be opened. He then took a crew member hostage and asked to speak with the Prime Minister of Bangladesh at the time, Sheikh Hasina, while complaining about issues he was having with his wife. Mahadi made a call and got in contact with Air Vice Marshal Moffat, who managed to keep him distracted by talking on the phone, while the pilots called for help and landed the plane. The 148 passengers and crew were evacuated and rescued unharmed after the airport was sealed off. The commando operation lasted 8 minutes, during which Special Forces agents tried to convince Mahadi to surrender. After their efforts proved futile, the suspect was shot and he died shortly after. Judging from their exchanges with Mahadi and his behavior aboard the plane, the authorities concluded that he was psychologically deranged. Number 4. Viviana Quiones. 28-year-old Viviana Quiones boarded a Southwest Airlines flight from Sacramento to San Diego on May the 23rd of 2021. During the plane's descent into the destination airport, a flight attendant approached the woman and asked her to buckle her seatbelt, wear her COVID-19 face mask properly, and stow her tray table. Instead of complying with the federal rules and regulations in place, Quiones stood up and, without warning or provocation, punched the female flight attendant in the face. A male passenger then intervened as Quiones relentlessly tried to hit the flight attendant and kept pulling on her hair. The latter was left with a bloodied face, and her attacker was escorted off the plane by Diego Harbor police officers upon landing. The confrontation was recorded on another passenger's cell phone, and the footage was picked up by multiple media outlets in the incident's wake. At first, Quiones claimed to have acted in self-defense, but she was charged with interference with flight crew members and attendants. Quiones eventually pleaded guilty to assault and faced a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, in addition to a $250,000 fine. As a result of the attack, the unnamed flight attendant had sustained 3 chipped teeth, 2 of which needed crowns, along with a cut under her left eye that required stitches. Number 3. Richard Popkin. Airport police officer N.J. Phillips, while working at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, was checking 43-year-old passenger Richard Popkin's carry-on luggage on the morning of December the 11th of 2011. As the bag went through the X-ray machine, staff noticed a .22 caliber pistol inside. It was loaded with 5 rounds of ammunition reportedly used to kill small animals. Airport workers took the gun out and handed it to Phillips, who pointed it at a screening table. While he was talking to Popkin about the clearing procedure for his gun, the officer accidentally fired a shot at his own face. A pellet fragment grazed him, but he didn't suffer any life-threatening injuries. In the unintentional discharge's wake, Popkin was arrested on weapon charges. He told officers that he'd kept the pistol for protection and that he had no intention of killing people. He also claimed to have forgotten that he'd removed the weapon from the checked luggage, allegedly due to worries about the weight limit. Number 2. Mark Anthony SCERBO. On May the 16th of 2021, a JetBlue flight from New York to San Francisco readjusted its course to Minneapolis because of a disruptive passenger. According to witness reports, 42-year-old Mark Anthony SCERBO was acting erratically by walking up and down the aisle while holding a butter knife in his fist and making stabbing motions towards other passengers. When cabin crew went to his seat with the intention of telling him to wear his face mask, they saw a bag of white powdery substance on his tray. He was allegedly snorting the powder while causing a commotion and allegedly harassing and touching a female passenger inappropriately. Upon landing in Minneapolis, SCERBO was arrested by law enforcement on suspicion of drug possession. MSP Airport Police took custody of the white substance bag, which weighed 0.8 ounces, and later revealed it had tested positive for cocaine. The FBI had taken over the investigation, according to the latest updates on the matter. Number 1. Dana Ghazi Mustafa. On February the 22nd of 2020, during a United Airlines flight from Frankfurt to Dulles International Airport in Virginia, cabin crew heard a smoke detector going off outside the lavatory. They opened the door and found 27-year-old passenger Dana Ghazi Mustafa smoking inside. Flight attendants told the woman that smoking was not allowed on board, an aspect made abundantly clear by multiple signs, and requested that she return to her seat. Mustafa reportedly became agitated and tried to go back to the lavatory. When she was finally settled in her seat, the woman started crying and told cabin crew members she was flying home after attending a funeral for her family, who'd been killed by a drunk driver. Flight crew members moved her to another seat in an attempt to calm her down, but when she got there, Mustafa allegedly punched a TV monitor. Plane staff reported that the woman smelled of alcohol, and a half-empty bottle of vodka was later found in her bag. Mustafa pushed flight attendants when they tried to stop her from entering the bathroom again, while holding a lighter. 2 air marshals on board attempted to restrain and handcuff her, but Mustafa fought back, repeatedly kicking one of them in the shins. The enraged woman then shouted she was going to stab everyone on the plane and then take her own life. Marshals eventually managed to handcuff her, and Mustafa was arrested by FBI agents upon landing. She subsequently admitted that the story of her family dying in an accident had been a fabrication. She was charged, among others, with assaulting a federal officer, which carried a maximum penalty of 8 years in prison. Thanks for watching. Would you rather fly coach with nobody else in the cabin, or fly business with nothing but crying babies in all of the other seats on the plane? Let us know in the comment section below.